Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody, I should say. Welcome back to the Manufacturing Alliance podcast. As always, I'm your host, Tony DeMakis with Alliance Specialties and Alliance Laser Sales, where we are mold makers that don't build molds. We do all the other things that you, the mold maker, need: polishing, laser welding, laser engraving, hot runner repair, preventative mold maintenance, all those things that you're having a hard time staffing and finding people to do. That's where we come in. We don't want to build molds. We know that's your job. We don't want to step on any toes. We just want to be a partner. We want to be an extension of your tool room so that we can all do the things together that are going to make us all profitable and successful in big ways, right? It's really, really hard to find people. And so we have to be using each other for the things that we need. And that's what we're here for. We also have a full line of laser welding and laser engraving equipment. And if you would like to purchase any of that, the Alliance ID1 or the Alliance Advantage, a portion of all of those proceeds will go to the Tim Tebow Foundation to help end human trafficking. It's a huge problem. We hate the problem. And we thought we have to be able to do something about this. And the only thing that we know how to do about this is donate money and combat what's going on, because I'm not going to war. That's not my skill set. Nobody wants me running around in a jungle trying to fight for kids. But together we can partner to make a difference. And all you have to do is purchase one of our ID1 machines that are built here in the United States. We believe that American made matters in so many ways. And this is just one of the ways that we can make a difference for those around us. If you like the show, if you've been listening to the show, if you're new to the show and you think you might like it, please like, subscribe, wherever that is: Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, so you never miss an episode and what's going on. We are filling up guests, and there are a lot of big industry people that are coming on. You're not going to want to miss it, especially today. Today is going to be amazing. And if you find yourself falling asleep, that might mean that you need some coffee. The best coffee, from what I've heard, is shop floor coffee. I don't drink coffee. I don't want to give some false testimony that it's amazing, but from all the people that I know that are drinking it, they love it. I just saw a post on LinkedIn about how they were celebrating having their shop floor coffee. And what's nice about Mike and his team is that they also give back to the community when you're purchasing their coffee. So if you're looking for something stronger, something better, something that tastes good, something that's going to get you through the day, don't go have your Folgers or Maxwell House or whatever it is. Get yourself some shop floor coffee. And if you put in the code ALL10, you'll receive 10% off of your first order. That's shopfloorcoffee.com. Go do that. And then we have a trade show coming up. Boston. We are going to be in Boston at Med Device Boston, September 30th through October 1st. It's in Boston, Massachusetts. A lot of big things that are going to be going on there. They're going to have tracks on regulatory and compliance, growth and investment, medtech technologies, and so much more. There's going to be built-in networking time, and a seated full-service breakfast is included with everything that you're doing. So if you're trying to figure out how you're going to go to market with this product that you have, go check out Med Device Boston. It's going to be a great show. It's part of the MD&M network. And if you register and you get your passes before August 30th, you're going to save $200. Med Device offers up to 30% off when purchasing group passes. So come and join us, right? Come join us at MedTech with your peers and have a transformative experience combining thought, leadership, and practical application. Don't just learn about medical device advancements, experience them firsthand. To learn more, go to meddeviceboston.com. We are going to be there with some of our newest technology. We're going to have the Alliance ARC, which is a class 1 scan head laser welding system. We're going to have our Alliance Advantage laser engraving systems, as well as our ID1 UR system, which is, as you might guess, a laser welding system using a UR robot. It's great technology, and that's just part of it. So come out and be part of Med Device Boston. That's again September 30th through October 1st. Can't wait to see you guys there. Let's get into some stuff. So there is a lot of confusion in the world. What's good? What's bad? What's happening? Is the big one big, beautiful bill a good thing? Is it a bad thing? What's it mean for manufacturers? I don't know. But I go to my friends at WIPFLI because they do. So it seems to me that every time I'm lost and I don't know what's going on in the political landscape when it comes to business, which honestly is often. I reach out to my friends at WIPFLI. When we were at MD&M West, I saw Lori Harbour, and she talked to us about tariffs and what was going on with tariffs. And today we got my guy, Mike Devereux, in. He's going to be talking to us about what's going on with this one big, beautiful bill and what it means for you, the manufacturer, the business owner. And is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? So I'm going to bring Mike in. How are you, my friend?
Doing great, Tony. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it very much.
Dude, I'm glad that you were able to jump on last minute. It was like yesterday. I was sitting there going, we got to do a show tomorrow. What's happening in the world that people want to talk about? And to me, it's this one big beautiful bill is the thing that's on the top of people's minds, because let's face it, in business, we've had this level of uncertainty since before November of what's what, how do we move forward? Can I buy things? Can I not buy things? What's this mean for my employees? What's this mean for my company? And it's just been this mass confusion for a long period of time. And I think people want to know what is this? What's happening?
Yeah, there was a lot of changes, and there were changes for the good. You started off your show, you're not sure what it means. To me, this bill was written for manufacturing, for domestic manufacturing. It accomplishes a lot of things, like extends the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act provisions. It fixes some of the mistakes that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act bill made, and then introduces a whole slew of other incentives that really, really favor domestic manufacturing. And so, everything from fixing the R&D capitalization issue that I know stung a number of your listeners,
Yep.
because it frankly should have never seen the light of day. When Congress passed that bill back in 2017, that part of the law wasn't supposed to take effect until 2022, and they had 5 years to fix it, and they didn't. And so that then stung them. And so for tax years 22, 23, and 24, companies had to capitalize their R&D expenditures. That was significant change. You've been able to deduct research expenditures as they were paid or incurred since 1954. Tony, that was the year my dad was born. So, you've been able to deduct them as they're paid or incurred. And if you think about it, if I go hire an engineer and I pay him $100,000 a year, you expect to be able to reduce your taxable income by that amount.
Sure.
However, what this did is it said, no, that $100,000 expenditure is now a research expenditure that must be capitalized. I then have to amortize it over a 5-year period. So take a $10 million tool shop that has $1.5 million of research expenditures because they're designing new, novel, unique, one-of-a-kind, never been built before tools, right?
Yep.
Probably buying some services and components from you as well, right?
Yep.
And that's part of that tooling costs. That amount now has to be capitalized. So in my example of $1.5 million, I only get to deduct 10% in the first year, 20% in years 2 through 5, and then 10% in year 6. So in my example, that first year that everybody got hit in 22, in my example, you only get to deduct $150,000. That's $1.35 million more taxable income for a $10 million tool shop.
Yep.
That was a significant tax increase, and it hamstrung a lot of companies from a cash flow perspective. Well, the one big beautiful bill fixed this, and they fixed it retroactive. So first things first, domestic R&D expenditures, 2025 and thereafter, I get to deduct them as they're paid or incurred. That's permanent, part of the law. International, foreign research expenditures have to be capitalized still, and that's a 15-year period. So if I incur research outside the United States, then it's punitive again, and I'm capitalizing that really as a way to help push more R&D to happen in the United States, which is what the tax credit really is meant to do. And keep in mind, there's two concepts at play. There's the expenditure side of it, the ability to deduct the research expenditures, and that's what we've been talking about. But you're also eligible for a tax credit based on your research expenditures, federal and state. There's about 35 states that have tax credits as well.
So there's two parts. There's an expenditure and the tax credit. So you're able to take advantage of this in multiple ways.
Yep, absolutely. And that's 2025 and thereafter. But they said, hey, look, we know you were hurt in 22, 23, and 24. We're going to allow you to catch up all that unamortized expenditures. And so let's say I capitalized $1 million each year, and let's say I took $700,000 of amortization expenses, right? Well, that's 3 million versus 700,000. That 2.3 million, I get to deduct either in 2025, or I can spread it between 2 years of 2025 and 2026. Now, there's another special rule that if I'm average annual sales are less than 31 million, I can actually go back and amend my tax returns of the prior year and get refunds from the tax that I overpaid in those prior years. And so gave some transition relief for what they've defined as small taxpayers and meaning less than $31 million of sales. So R&D is probably the biggest, really, because your listeners, you guys are doing R&D on a regular basis. It's anytime you're developing or improving a product or process that's technological in nature, that I'm eliminating design uncertainty through modeling, simulation, or trial and error. That's what you guys do every day.
Okay, wait. So say that again. Say that again, because you rattled that off, because it's really, really easy for you to rattle that off. But it's one of those things that people say, like, okay, does this qualify for R&D? What does that look like? And so what did you just say?
Let me just break it down a little bit. There's actually what I said in there was 4 separate requirements.
Okay.
I've got to be developing or improving a business component.
Okay.
Business components are products, processes, techniques, formulas, inventions, or software applications. So I've got to be developing or improving any one of those things. It's got to be technological in nature. The activities fundamentally have to rely upon the sciences, including computer science, including mechanical engineering, including all the physical sciences, including the polymer disciplines, polymer sciences, right? And so I'm not required to expand, exceed, or refine the knowledge in my industry. Rather, I'm entitled to rely upon existing engineering principles in order to solve for an unknown. And that's actually the third requirement, is there has to be an unknown or uncertainty that exists at the beginning of my research activity. Uncertainty, when you think of R&D, most people think of capability. Can this be done? Can I hit these type of tolerances? Can I get this type of tack time? Whatever the case is, can it be done? That's R&D. But it's broader than that. It's also the how, the method, and design uncertainty. And, if you go to 10 different tool engineers or 10 different tool designers and say, here's my part, you may come back with 10 different designs, right? They're going to be slightly different in each way, shape, or form, right?
Yes.
One may want to eject the part differently as part of the pin action or something along those lines. Another one might increase the draft so they can eject the part in a more efficient fashion, right? There's all these different design variables that go into it. And if I'm evaluating those design variables in order to see what's the best for my product or my process, that can be qualified research as long as I'm evaluating those design variables and design uncertainty through a process of experimentation. And that's the fourth requirement, is you have to engage in a process of experimentation. Well, think about it this way. Modeling, simulation, and systematic trial and error are all defined as processes of experimentation. So modeling is 3D modeling, AutoCAD, SolidWorks, those sort of things. Simulation, maybe your tool shops are doing mold fill analysis, right? That simulation activity would qualify. And then everybody's favorite is good old-fashioned systematic trial and error. Those are all eligible research activities. And so it's not uncommon. In my example of a $10 million tool shop having $1.5 million of research expenditures, that's not uncommon.
No.
So it's significant. Think about an injection mold itself. It's novel. It's unique. It's one of a kind. It's never been built before, right? There might be similar parts out there, but that particular design that's going to run on that 300-ton press hasn't been designed and built before. So it's uncertain, and I don't know what the design is going to be. And if I have to evaluate that through a process of experimentation, those things can qualify for the credit and the expenditure. And unfortunately, we've thought of as research as a bad thing the last few years because of that capitalization requirement. Now it's a good thing again, right? It's always been a good thing. If you look at the time value of money of those future amortization deductions, it always made sense to claim larger research expenditures. However, in the short term, it was pretty painful from a cash flow perspective because you're paying Uncle Sam all this additional tax, which you're going to recoup later. But in the meantime, I'm buying materials. I got to hire 3 more people. I can't go and cut Uncle Sam a check for $600,000 and still operate my business the same way that I would if I didn't have to do that.
Yeah. Well, and I can speak to that directly in the products that we're developing, right? And coming up with a new laser engraving system.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that this was going to be an investment, right? It always is when you come up with a product. But we hired an expert in laser engraving who had a background in that. So they're full-time now talking about what this should look like, what the market's looking for, what our competitors are out there doing. Then we have our engineering staff who is then taking that, rebuilding everything, not re-engineering, but engineering it from nothing and spending a whole year developing products that we're hoping to be able to go to market with, that we're hoping are going to take off and start doing some things. But in the meantime, you're paying 3 salaries. You're paying for all of the raw materials to be able to build the technology. You're paying for the lasers. Everything is coming in, and you're looking at it going, what is the ROI on all of this investment? And do we have the capital to be able to do that right now? Again, with the uncertainty, with industry being slow as it has been for the last couple of years, not knowing where that was going to turn around, and then looking at it and going, okay, is this the right time to do it? Is it a bad time to do it? And I think we talked with your team last year or the year before, and we talked with another company, and they said it doesn't make any sense for you to do an R&D thing because all the reasons you're saying, right? You're going to spend more money with us now than you're going to get back, and it's going to take you 7 years to get it back. There's just no point in it right now. And so this flips that whole narrative, and it allows manufacturers and entrepreneurs and inventors to say, okay, we can start doing these things all over again. We can start building things in a way that makes sense and make things here in America and employ people and create products that are going to serve our industry in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really welcome. And, I go to DC a few times a year. We have a professional relationship with Omar Nashasibi as well, and rely on him quite a bit for advice and so forth. And we've been monitoring it for a long time. And I mean, like I said, I talked to Chairman Brady of the Ways and Means Committee right after this passed. What are you guys doing? Why in the world would you just? Because don't worry about it. We're gonna get this fixed before it actually becomes law. Well, he was no longer the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee the following year, and therefore didn't have that level of control. And as they say, the rest is history. And here we are with it finally getting fixed through the one big beautiful bill. So
yeah. And I think what's interesting is you have like I said before, you have the mainstream media, depending on what channel you listen to, whether it's right, left, whatever it is, right? Everybody's saying this is a great thing or this is a terrible thing. And the truth is I'm imagining the truth is in the middle somewhere. I see it as a good thing. You see it as a good thing. How do people see this as a negative?
It's probably some of the non-tax provisions in the bill.
Okay.
I would see that from somebody that saw this as a negative provision, the Medicaid cuts and changes to the Medicaid rules were probably on there. If I am interested in the energy credits, solar, wind, those sort of things, those are the losers here in this bill.
Okay.
If I'm picking winners and losers, manufacturing one, energy credits, real estate companies that implement these energy incentives, energy efficient properties like solar panels and wind farms and so forth. Those were the losers in the bill because a lot of those were rolled back and scraped back. So all that Inflation Reduction Act that was the Green New Deal is what it was called back when it was passed in 2022. A lot of that stuff was rolled back. One of the provisions that was rolled back, you've probably heard me talk about before. It's the energy efficient building deduction. So if I put in energy efficient lighting or energy efficient HVAC or energy efficient roof or building it our exterior walls, then I'm entitled to accelerated depreciation. But that provision is going away in about a year. You got to start construction on that by June 30th of next year. So there were a number of things in there that could be deemed bad for different sectors, but U.S. manufacturing was one of the winners, especially anybody in a capital intensive business, right? Which of course manufacturing is. You guys are buying equipment, you're selling equipment, right? Bonus depreciation back with a vengeance, 100%, and made permanent for assets placed in service and acquired after January 20th. And that date was not a mistake. That was the date that President Trump was inaugurated. So a lot of the things were built around Trump's opinion, right? And so January 20th and thereafter, we've got 100% bonus depreciation there. Section 179 limits. That's the ability to write off assets in the year they're placed in service, kind of like bonus depreciation, but there's some things that also qualify as Section 179, like a roof or an HVAC system or a fire suppression system or a security alarms. Those are all 39-year property and don't qualify for bonus depreciation, but they qualify for Section 179, right? And then we have this brand new provision, speaking of capital equipment. If you go build a new manufacturing plant, the portion that's associated with the manufacturing or production activity, you can write off 100% in the year you place it in service, instead of depreciating it over a 39-year life. Only domestic, only U.S. manufacturing or production. So it's really trying to encourage folks to build manufacturing plants here in the United States again.
And you have to applaud it, right? I mean, that's all you can do is applaud that effort.
Think about our competition. And you don't necessarily want to think of your allies, other countries that are allies of yours and good trade partners, as competition, but that's the way they think of it, right? They're giving these incentives to their manufacturing companies. You don't think people in Europe and Canada and China aren't doing these without subsidies? They've got investments in the manufacturing infrastructure, and now we're catching up. And so it's a really, really good thing from a capital improvement perspective. You've got a lot more flexibility as to how you can deduct and reduce your tax liability so that your taxes aren't a hindrance to growth.
I love that. So that your taxes aren't a hindrance to growth. That's a huge statement, because they really are, because it's money that you're spending, right? That you don't necessarily want to spend, that you're getting very little for, when you're trying to grow your business, and it limits you. It caps what you can and can't do.
I mean, it's a third. I mean, if you're a C corporation, your rate's 21%. But if I'm an individual, I own an S corporation or partnership, my top rate's 29.6%, right? And plus you got payroll taxes and other taxes associated with that. If you're successful, you're paying a third of everything that you work so hard for, towards taxes, as opposed to going out and building a new plant, buying new machinery or equipment, going to hire those people, or heck, maybe it's give your people a raise so that you can afford to keep them, right? Yep. So they're not walking down the street for an $1 extra hour, and if I can talk, $1 an hour extra.
Right. And I've heard it. You've probably heard it. People talk about how Trump or this bill or whatever, all it's doing is making the corporations richer. It's just it's for the guy that's already got money. It's making the rich richer. And the reality, as far as I see it, is it's allowing people that own businesses to invest in their business in a way that allows them to hire more people, and maybe not hire more people, but take better care of the people that are there by offering, like you said, better wages, better insurance plans, better 401k plans, better everything. Now, if you have a greedy, stingy owner, well, then that guy sucks. I don't know what to say there. But I think most of the people that you work with and see at these conferences or industrial things, they don't fall into that greedy, sucky owner. They're looking to take care of the people that are working with them to grow their business, to serve the people around them. There's just this misconception in the world that, all business owners are evil, corporate, greedy bastards.
Well, here's the thing: most companies or in the country are organized as S corporations or partnerships. They're flow through entities. S corporations are the largest share of number of companies. Maybe not size, because all the large public traded companies, those are all C corporations and so forth. But S corporations are the biggest block, and you don't pay tax at the S corporation level. You pay tax at the individual, the shareholder level. Well, the rates cuts, they impacted everybody, not just the rich. Yes, the tax rate, the top rate went from 39.6 to 37% as part of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. And those rates were all made permanent as part of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And so you do have those lower rates. But you know what? The 10% and the 12% rates all became lower as well, right? And so it's across the board. In the event that none of this happened, everybody's taxes would have gone up in 2026. Everyone, I should say everybody that's paying tax. That's the other thing. If you think about this, you know, half the country or almost half the country doesn't pay income tax. They pay other taxes, but they don't pay income tax because they fall below the standard deduction level, or they have enough deductions or losses that they don't have a tax liability in that particular year. And yes, if you give a tax cut, you're going to give a tax cut to the people that are paying the taxes as opposed to people that aren't already paying the taxes.
You can't cut something that's not coming out, right? I mean, if you're paying nothing, you can't cut it.
Right. Well, you can. It's the form of corporate welfare or through welfare in some way, shape, or form. And it's paying refundable tax credits, essentially. And that's what you would see as an alternative towards the investment in the domestic growth and so forth. Giving a tax cut giving a tax cut to somebody that owns a manufacturing company is organized as an S corporation will have more of an economic impact than giving a tax cut to the employee that works for that S corporation. That's not mean. It's not political. It's just a macroeconomic fact of reality that they're going to have more economic incentive by reducing the costs of those that are creating jobs.
Yep.
So
what are the steps if people are listening, right? And they're going, is this for me? Is it worth digging into all of the R&D expenditures and tax cuts? Is this for me? How does somebody know? Well, I mean, what's your first advice to somebody that's listening, wondering if they should, reach out to WIPFLI and what that would look like?
I'd say step one is just get an understanding of what's in the bill. Do you need to print out all 800 pages like I did on my little inkjet printer? No, you don't need to do that. But, you can subscribe to WIPFLI's information. We've put a lot of content out there. We've got a Washington, D.C. policy, taxes and trade page on our website, which is WIPFLI.com. There's a lot of information there. So first things first, arm yourself with the information that's in the bill. There's people like me. There's others. I've got competitors that are putting thought leadership out there. Just get an understanding of what's in the bill. I can tell you right now, the top couple of things for a manufacturing company are going to be R&D, all the capital expenditure type stuff. If I'm under $31 million, methods of accounting and other things, estate tax stuff went up. So it's time to maybe dust off your succession plan. If I was thinking about doing any of the energy credits or energy incentives, you got to do it now, right? Because that stuff expires. If I'm going to put energy efficient lighting in and I want the benefit, I need to have that construction of the energy efficient lighting started by June 30th of next year. I cannot wait. If I'm going to put a new roof on, I need to be starting thinking about this, because if it's energy efficient and I can get a couple bucks a square foot of accelerated depreciation off that roof, then perhaps I want to take advantage of that and put that into service. So that's really, getting your arms around those major provisions that are going to have an impact. Do you need to do any planning with respect to the rate changes? Well, you can update your projections, but the rates are the rates, right? They're going to stay the same as they were last year and so forth. So there's not that level of adjustment. looking at your estimated tax payments. Do I need to make a third quarter estimated payment or fourth quarter estimated payment, or am I already paid in enough because I'm going to get to catch up all this R&D expenditures and I'm going to get it all in tax year 2025. I'm going to get this huge deduction. Maybe I don't have to make a distribution to my owners so that they can make estimated tax payments. So I'd say start to model out some of these changes so that you don't have a bad surprise come April 15th, or B, a surprise that's not so great that I just gave the federal government an interest-free loan for 9 months. So, you don't want to overpay in too much. You want to pay in those amounts that are required by law and not overpay and give Uncle Sam an interest-free loan.
So if I'm a business, and I want to start taking advantage of all the R&D stuff that we're talking about.
Yeah.
What do I need to be doing?
You need to have an understanding of what that calculation is, have an understanding of what your historical tax positions have been with respect to R&D. If I haven't claimed the R&D credit and I haven't capitalized any 174 research expenditures in the last since 2022, then I need to look and see, should I look at amending my returns?
Okay.
What is required to amend those returns? Because if I amend my returns and I claim a tax credit that I didn't claim on the original return, or if I claimed a credit and maybe I'm increasing that credit, now I have to file additional paperwork, thanks to a chief counsel memorandum issued by Treasury Department, that I have to file additional paperwork in order to get my refunds associated with that. And I got to file with a service center that's going to review that, and they're going to dig into it and determine whether or not they're going to pull you for audit. If, however, I've capitalized my 174 expenditures and I have been claiming the credit in those years, now it's a discussion of, do I want to go back and amend my 22, 23, and 24 returns? And I can only do that if I'm less than $31 million in sales. Or do I just want to catch up all those deductions in 25 and 26 and not amend my returns? I will tell you, if I'm an S corporation and I'm one of 50 owners, I don't want to go back and amend 150 tax returns unless the refund's much, much larger. You always got to ask that question: is the juice worth the squeeze? Right?
Yep.
Because and I'm sure people hate that phrase, but I kind of like it. Everybody knows what I'm talking about when I say it. So
absolutely,
if I've got $1 million in refunds, I'm going to go amend the returns. If I've got 80,000 in refunds and I'm amending 150 returns, maybe not.
Right.
So it's really it's going to be on a company by company, facts and circumstances by facts and circumstances case on how you're going to approach this. But I would tell you that, and I guess we're not the only ones that do this, but a company like ours will review on our dime what you've been doing in the hopes that you want to hire us to move forward. And look at that. We call them a feasibility study, where we'll come in on our nickel and put our arms around what you've been doing and estimate a potential benefit, what your research expenditures are, what your potential credits are, and start to give you some information so that you can make informed decisions. Do I amend? Do I just do this going forward? How do I want to tackle this issue and the changes from the one big beautiful bill that impact the 174 costs?
Yeah. I love all that. Should people start now and start keeping track of all this? Is it just a matter of having a spreadsheet? I'm a simple person. Do I just need an Excel document that says, Jeremy's time is being spent on R&D. Steve's time is being spent on R&D. Scott's time is being spent on R&D. These costs are going towards R&D. Is that the level of documentation that you need on something like this?
Well, there's a couple of things at play there. One, estimates are allowable. You're not estimating the wage. You've got a W-2. You've got the supply costs and the materials and the raw materials that all went into building that prototype and so forth. You've got the invoices for vendors you paid for doing design or something, building on something on your behalf related to that prototype, right? Yep. I can accumulate all of those costs. It's the time, right? That, to your point, do I got to keep time records and timesheets based on R&D? No, you're not required to keep time records, contemporaneous time records. That said, I still got to come up with an amount that is allocable there. So the way that most companies will do that is they'll estimate the number of hours that were spent by employee on that project, because you need to get to a project basis. If you amend your returns, you've got that's some of the information you have to send in. It's project accounting that you have to send with your amended return. If you're filing it on an originally filed return, the form 6765 has changed recently. And therefore, eventually everybody's going to get to the point where they're going to have to give project accounting on this. And so you've got to keep records that you can say, well, yeah, this employee worked on these 4 projects in the year. He spent 10% of his time on this one, 15% on this one. So you can see what portion of the wage is attributable to that particular business component, that R&D activity or associated with that product or process.
Okay.
So
timesheets are really important.
Yeah, but you don't have to keep them like us accountants do, to the 10th of an hour.
No. But it makes sense to me, right? We have a couple engineers on staff, and they have fought me pretty hard on, like, I don't want to fill out timesheets. Like, I'm a salaried employee, you're just paying me to be here. Why does it matter where it's going towards? And I argue with them all the time, and I'm like, okay, first of all, I need to know when this laser engraver is going to be paid for, right? With the amount of money and time and effort and resources that we're putting into building this thing, how do we know, if we're not keeping track of it, when we're finally breaking even on what this product is? Yeah. It's not about, like, are you working? I trust that you're working. I trust everybody that's here. I have no doubt that everybody's doing exactly what they're supposed to do, because we have a trust environment. The question becomes, was it worth it to invest in this product? Was it worth it to invest in this project? What does that actually look like? And if you don't have the data, you can't use the data. And now when we're looking at all the R&D stuff, it makes even more sense. And I'm so glad that for every product we developed, we created job numbers, whether it was having an opening and closing door, or a side door versus an automated door versus an automated function versus that. We had job numbers for all of that. So now we can go and we can pull all that data and say, Jeremy worked on it for this long, Scott worked on it for this long, Steve worked on it for this long, on all of these different products and all these different projects coming together. And we have it.
Yep. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Especially because it's not just the R&D that you're keeping those records for. You're measuring ROI on the investments that you're making. These investments aren't small, especially when you're taking the salaries of individuals and you're taking a portion of that salary and putting that investment into that R&D project. You want to make sure you're getting the ROI on it.
Yes. No, we finally hashed it all out. It was like it was a negotiation. We're going to do this. This is why we're going to do this. I'm sorry that you hate this, but it's going to be really, really important. I'm sorry that you never had to do it in the past. But we need to know these things in the future. My father is a guy who just says, I don't care about the details. Just build me the machine. Go buy this stuff. I don't care. Just build it. Well, and then once you see that you need all this data, it's impossible to go back and get it if you're not capturing it in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're going to capture more costs probably if you're contemporaneously doing it, because now you're not going back and trying to remember, oh yeah, we bought something from that vendor on XYZ project. If you're coding all that stuff to the job number and project number, I mean, that's the benefit of an ERP system or capturing a cost capturing system to kind of pull all this stuff information together. So you're certainly down the path of best practice there, Tony.
All right. Win for us, win for Alliance. It's always nice when you get those.
Yeah.
So going forward, I'm assuming that you guys are still taking clients. You're looking for more people to come and work with you. How do people contact WIPFLI to say, like, help me, Mike, help me figure out what's best for me and my business, and if I'm doing things right or wrong, or what you're going to do to get us to that next level?
So we have a philosophy at WIPFLI of a meet to learn, right? I'm absolutely looking for new clients. We want to grow. We want to help serve the manufacturing community more. I like making investments in the relationships. And so one of the things that we have something called a meet to learn. Simply put, we're there to learn. I'm not there to provide any advice yet. I'm there to learn and understand your challenges, your risks, the benefits, and have an understanding of your business so that I can come back to you and do a meet to share or meet to give. And so that really is kind of how I'd really like to start a lot of the relationships that I've built over the years, and having those discussions up front on our nickel. I mean, like I mentioned, the R&D feasibility study, that doesn't cost anything. It's
Right.
$0. Yes, we're engaged. Legal department has to send out an engagement letter. You're giving me tax information. I'm giving you tax advice that you could rely upon. And therefore we want to have both of our parties protected. There's an engagement letter, but the professional fees are $0. In the event that at the conclusion you want to claim the credit or you want to move forward and hire WIPFLI, that's when I'll issue an engagement letter or something along those lines. I apply that same philosophy kind of across the board. I'm happy to just sit down and talk with the owner of the business. Talk, what are your challenges? Why are you a C corporation? Does that align with your goals? Why did you elect to capitalize this type of expenditure? Is there some other business reason that you wanted to have, or was there just a misunderstanding around the rules associated with that? Are there refund opportunities? I want to look at your carry forward schedules. That's one of the first things I do when I pick up a tax return. What is being carried forward from past years that I paid for, but I haven't gotten the tax benefit for it yet? I paid those monies, I paid those dollars out, and I wasn't able to take that deduction. I carried it forward. Why? What are some planning tips and tools or planning techniques that I can utilize those tax credits or loss carry forwards or benefits? Those things that you've paid for in prior years, how can I take advantage of that? And just having a holistic discussion around that. And you know what? If you decide just to hear me out, then that's one thing. And if you decide to hire us, that's great too. But I love what I do. I geek out over this tax stuff. I like I said, I've got a little inkjet printer here in my home office. I printed this whole thing out and dug into it. And I'm passionate about U.S. manufacturing. I love, my favorite thing in the world is to be in a manufacturing plant that I haven't been in, and just seeing and walking through, seeing the operations and seeing where I can maybe add some value to clients and prospective clients alike. Yes.
And honestly, that's what I love about you is you never come across like this is a job that you hate. You're always, you're happy at all the conferences. You're excited to be there. It's never a chore. You're always there to answer questions, and you don't escape to your room and disappear. You're building relationships and networking with people, and your passion is there for what you're doing, which is, you can't say it about everybody, right? There's so many people that they dread their job. They do their job because it's a means to an end. But I really get the sense that you enjoy all the parts of this, the problem solving parts of this, the trying to help people and do what's best for them and their businesses and grow it for the individual as well as for the industry as a whole, because you are at all the industry stuff. I mean, you're committing yourself to do all the things in a good way. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, we at WIPFLI go to market by industry. We think it's more important to understand your business than to be in your backyard, right? So we have 45 offices across the country. If I'm talking to a company in Detroit and that's particular expertise, I've got that in Milwaukee, chances are I'm going to staff that out of the Milwaukee area because they've got that level of expertise, that familiarity. Maybe they've worked in plastic injection molding in the past. We've got a number of folks on our team. I know you're familiar with a number of the former Harbor team members that merged into WIPFLI a little over a year ago before NPE. And so we go to market by industry, not by geography. Geography is nice. Don't get me wrong. If I can help somebody in my backyard, or if I can staff it in a way that somebody's only a half hour away from their plant, awesome. But industry understanding and how we're going to help that company is more important. And the world's shrunk enough that we can do all this stuff electronically. Don't get me wrong. I love being in a manufacturing plant. I will visit that plant of that customer. But at that same time, we can talk about tax planning over a Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting or something along those lines. And so going to market by industry has allowed us to really differentiate ourselves so that you're not choosing your CPA based upon those that are available in your local backyard, but those that focus on the industry. And you said,
Right.
being at every industry event, that's the ecosystem we play in, right?
Right.
That's didn't Wayne Gretzky say, you got to skate to where the puck is? You got to go
Yeah.
to where the customers are, right?
Not to
And
where it
so,
is, where it's going to be.
right there you go. Well, my customers are going to be at these manufacturing trade shows and conferences and whatnot, and they're there to learn, and I'm there to learn and teach, and just enjoy it.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. I always look forward to the conferences because we get to hang out and have a drink or two and just share, right? Share what's going on with our lives and what's happening. And it's great. Are
And
you
how we can
feeling?
make better.
Yes. I mean, that's what it's really all about, right? How do we get better together? We
Yeah.
keep saying we're stronger together than we are individually. We're not supposed to do all this stuff solo as individuals. Like, network with people, use people, not in a bad way like I'm using you, but use them for their expertise and their knowledge, and grow from the people that have been there and done that before.
Yeah.
Are you seeing optimism in the mold making space?
Yeah, I am seeing a little bit of optimism. It's kind of been a mixed bag over the last 12 months. You kind of alluded to this earlier on the call in your opening of the challenges we've faced as an industry. And yeah, I'm seeing some optimism. I'm seeing a lot of quoting activity, not as many purchase
Yes.
orders as quotes, right? There's a whole lot of quoting activity. I think that's probably a little bit of kicking the tires, a little bit of seeing what these tariffs are meaning to the quotes themselves and the impact on commerce, really. And so that's what we're seeing. I'm seeing other the companies that are more optimistic. They're investing in things like sales process, right?
Mm.
And how am I going to maybe utilize this as an advantage and expand my customer base, or maybe get into a new market that I haven't been in before? And looking at it strategically, that's where people are starting to kind of invest their time. I don't think the tariff turmoil or tariff roller coaster is going to end anytime soon.
Yeah.
We've got an administration that has said that he's going to continue to use the tariffs as a weapon and as a tool in his toolbox. And we had those 301 tariffs all throughout the Biden administration. He didn't get rid of them. So it's a little bit of a bipartisan issue. Don't get me wrong. There's winners and there's losers in those things, but people are trying to get an understanding of what it's going to be like going forward from a costing perspective. And so I think that's where a lot of the quoting comes from, right? A lot of the as opposed to just the quote directly to PO, right? I think there's a lot of people just testing the market a little bit. I think there's a lot of reasons to be optimistic. I do.
At the AMBA conference, I was talking to a number of people, and they said they have a stack of quotes on their desk. Like you said, not necessarily purchase orders, but a stack of quotes, which means they didn't have that before. So something is going in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right.
And
I'm seeing more people are thinking about domestic a lot more.
Yes.
Right. It's not like they're going to ignore. I mean, like, we can't put our head in the sand. They're not going to just ignore those tool makers outside the United States. That said, I think they're paying a lot more attention to U.S. tool makers, and that's a good thing for AMBA and the membership within the AMBA.
I was talking with somebody, I don't remember who it was, and they were trying to make the point that we don't have the people or the infrastructure to be able to, manufacture steel or as many parts and molds that need to be made. And I thought, that's kind of a silly thing to say. In my opinion, that's a silly thing to say. If the government and the US really wants to ramp all this up and be able to make things in the States, you're telling me that we can't have people trained to do that? Like, I know Elon and Trump are, fighting there. It's like the ugliest feud ever, but the dude taught people how to build and land rockets. You're telling me that we can't put something in place where we can build steel again, or put something in place to actually teach people how to make molds on a ramped up schedule? As far as teaching, I don't buy any of those excuses. I think it's all possible. It's just a matter of, do we want to do it?
I'm with you, but with the caveat that, hey, recognizing it's going to take some time to be able to
Yes.
build that infrastructure back, right? But that doesn't mean we don't do it just because it's going to be. Now, perhaps we don't announce a tariff at 10:30 at night to take effect at 12:01 a.m. That maybe
Perhaps.
maybe we change the messaging here and the timing to allow businesses to plan, right? That's really what you need to do is allow companies enough time to plan. People are
Yeah.
less upset about the tariffs themselves than the roller coaster that they're on and inability to plan for them and be able to project out what's happening in the future.
Yes.
So that to me is kind of the first piece. And then once you get past that is having that understanding of how it's going to impact what the world's going to look like, right? But
Yes.
that doesn't mean we don't do it because it's going to take 10 years to build a casting facility, for instance, right?
Yeah.
So I recognize that there's a long lead time on the construction of these new facilities and whatnot. But how do we get there in a practical way so that we can, in fact, bring some of this back?
And I think in my view, part of it's hard because, you have an administration that is, on the long term, well, this year, 4 years, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Unless this side continues to keep staying in office, there's a good chance that there's going to be changes again. And it's really hard to keep playing that yo-yo game back and forth of like, what's it going to be in 8 years? What's going to be in 10 years? What's that going to look like? And I'm not saying we want a king that's there forever. That's not what I'm that's not what I'm trying to say, but it does become difficult to plan those things. When you're saying like it's going to take 10 years to build the infrastructure to build a casting plant or whatever that might look like. Okay, are the rules going to be the same in 10 years? We have no idea.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't know that we're going to get that level of certainty. I mean,
Right.
I don't want to get into politics, but we're pretty darn polarized, right?
Yes.
And there's a pendulum. The pendulum swings back and forth, right? And the pendulum is swung to the right now, and it's going to swing back. And I don't know how quickly or how fiercely it's going to swing back, but it will at one point in time.
Yes.
And so, how do you plan for that? How do you adapt? And I think it's building systems so that that are adaptable, right?
Yeah.
So that you can pivot, right? And just focus on the things that you can control. I heard Laurie heard Laurie speak last week on this topic of, hey, look, the tariffs are going to affect. Don't ignore them. You need to be aware of them. You need to make sure that you're doing it right. You got
Yep.
the right HTS codes, all these things. Be aware of them, but let's focus on the things that are within your control. We don't have control over the one big beautiful bill. We don't have control over tariffs, right? We have control over our operations. We have control over our sales process. We have control of our financing. These are all things that are within the business owner's control that you can focus on. Don't ignore the things that you can't focus on because they are going to impact your business.
Yes.
But definitely focus on that be where all you're burning your calories, right? Not in the things that you can't. I mean, don't give me. You're going to pay attention to it, and you might get excited, you might get upset, you might throw something, but focus on those things that you can control, and and I think you're in a better position by doing
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
frankly,
No.
you'll be a little bit happier too, I think.
Yeah. I mean, there's always something to be pissed off about. That's a fact. But to your point, you see it, we see it. You have people that are stuck in this level of almost paralysis with what they're going to do with their business or what decisions they're going to make, and just freezing everything and going, well, we're not doing anything till we know what's what. Well, then there's a chance you're going to die. I mean, you can't just stay stagnant forever.
Yeah, 100%.
You want to do some quick 5 questions here?
Sure.
All right. These are some stupid questions now. I mean, we covered the important stuff. So unless you think these are the important things. Yeah. If you could make one rule that everyone had to follow, what would that rule be?
Boy. Bicycles belong on the sidewalks, not in the streets.
I think that's fair. Especially now with people getting hit by cars all the time.
I am not a fan.
You're not a fan of people on
I mean,
bikes?
it's first of all, it's not safe for not no. I'm sorry for you listeners that are bicyclists. I don't mean anything by it. But I just it drives me nuts if I'm driving on a 2-lane road and I'm just stuck there when there's a sidewalk right off to the side. It's probably safer for them to ride on that. And I get it. There's more bumps and stuff like that. But you just said I'm kind of king and get to make a rule for everybody to follow.
I did.
So
I did. The
that's
other
my answer.
part that's bad is there's people walking on the sidewalk and they're not paying attention either. So you're going to get, but
Yeah, you're right.
is your wife still running?
Yeah. Yeah. Not as much. She does more Peloton
Okay.
than anything else.
I was
You
out.
guys still got to run a half marathon together, right?
I know that was the goal. I've been running again lately. I was out running this morning, just a little 3.5 miles, and there's a section where there's no sidewalk. So I was running down the street, and I swear this car sped up and swerved at me. It's 6 o'clock in the 6 o'clock in the morning. There's like, I'm hoping they fell asleep and it wasn't intentional, but to your point, you got to be careful. You got to be on the lookout for what's going on.
Yeah.
People are nuts, man. All right. Question 2. What is the one thing that you are superstitious about?
Oh, that I'm superstitious about. I don't know. Not jinxing myself, maybe on things. Like if I think of a possibility of a bad thing happening.
Okay.
If I think about that as a possibility of happening, then maybe it won't happen. So like an anti jinxing thing. There's nothing really about, I'm not really a superstitious person.
That's good.
Per se, more religious than superstitious.
Well, that's a better way to be. I think maybe superstitious is the wrong way to put it. Like for me, I always have to put my right sock on first, then my left sock, my right shoe, then my left shoe. If I go in the reverse order, I'm not afraid anything's going to happen necessarily. I
think I'm left and right.
You're left to right. Are you left-handed?
I'm left and right. No, but I'm left-footed. Okay. I'm right-handed, left-footed.
All right. For when you're playing soccer.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the only application for footed, I guess. But yeah, left-footed in soccer and right-handed. Huh? But put on the left sock first, I think.
All right. I get it. Now this one is hard. If you swap genders for the day, how would you spend your time? Now, I'm going with the assumption that there are only 2 genders, not like 57,000. So if you could swap genders for the day, what would you do?
I'm not sure I should say that on air. I don't know. I never even thought about it, Tony. That is a hard question.
You didn't think the stupid ones would be the hardest, did you?
No, I didn't. You got a tax question you can give me? Oh no,
Are you pleading the fifth here? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I guess so. Because I don't even know what I do.
I kept saying that I would go out now, assuming that I didn't look like this as a woman, because that would be bad. I would go out and do more sales calls, I think.
Oh, that's a good idea. Or maybe a big speech.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something along those lines.
That would be.
See if that could be helpful.
I mean, I know the results I get as me, so I guess I would try that.
Yeah. I guess it'd be interesting to try and just see differently. Just see the different perspective. Yeah. And how you're viewed, maybe.
All right. I think you've answered this one in the past, but we'll see. If animals could talk, what would be the rudest and why?
The rudest and why? Yep. This little bitty puppy that bit me 2 weeks ago.
Is it your puppy?
No, I was a friend's. I went over to their house and I went to pet. His name's Wookie. Went over and reached and petted. And he snapped me right on the hand, and I'm sure if that dog could talk, he would have some choice words for me, because if the owner wasn't standing around, I kicked it.
It sounds
And I love dogs too, but
it sounds like you
we
had
got
it
two.
coming.
I got two Yorkies. That's Tay and Jake from State Farm.
Nice.
They're great. I love them to death. And Tay is named after Devontae Adams, but back when he was a Packer, not now.
Yeah.
And then the other one's Jake from State Farm. But and I love dogs, right? And I haven't been bit by a dog since I was like 9 years old. And I'm certain that Wookie would have had some choice words for me.
Sure.
I guess.
Sure. You pet him wrong.
I guess so.
You didn't touch him the way he wanted to be touched. All right. Question 5. How many kindergarten kids could you take out in a fight before you were outnumbered?
35.
35. All right.
Yeah.
I like that. You feel very confident in that answer.
I don't. Just an estimate.
Yeah, that's great. Question number 6, which is not on here. Who's going to win the series this year, the Bears or the Packers?
Packers.
Wrong.
How about a bet?
All right. Last time, that's why my hair ended up the way it has. I didn't have that bet with you, but I lost a bet where I couldn't cut my hair for a year. So that was the thing.
I don't want to do something like that. I was thinking like dinner.
Okay. I'm in. Now, are we saying the series? Bears sweep the series, yeah. Packers sweep the series. If it's 1-1, what's the end result?
Accumulated score.
All right. Oh,
is the tiebreaker.
I like that. Okay. All right. I'm in. Let's do it.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, it's in the books. The 3 people who are listening have heard it. No, I don't know how many people are listening. That's crazy. I love it. I appreciate all the time and knowledge today, Mike. I really do. You're one of those people that I always look up to because you really do geek out on this stuff and really understand it. And I don't. I have a graphic design and marketing background, and I get to run a manufacturing company. So I rely on having friends like you to be able to ask questions and really have a level of trust for the input and the advice that you give me, because I know that you're not out to screw me. And so I really do appreciate that about you and really the whole team over at WIPFLI. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Tony. I appreciate you guys very much as well, and appreciate you letting me come and share my thoughts on the podcast today. Appreciate it very much. Thank you for reaching out.
What's the best way for somebody to get a hold of you?
2 ways. My email address, which is on our website. If you go to WIPFLI.com, you can search Mike Devereux and you can get all my information there. It's mike.devereux@WIPFLI.com is my email address, or my cell phone is also a great way to reach me. That number is 314-406-8773. Feel free to give me a call, ask me questions. Happy to help any way that I can. If I can't get you an answer, I'll find somebody that can.
Before we go, what are all the things that WIPFLI does? Because for some people, they're going to think they just specialize in these R&D tax credits and looking at things like that. But you guys are much bigger than that now.
Yeah, we do quite a bit of things. If you think about it from kind of buckets or pillars within WIPFLI, about a third of our work is in the tax space.
Okay.
Right. It's tax compliance, it's tax credits, it's doing planning around methods of accounting, it's tax advisory services. Another third is audit and accounting. So we can audit your financial statements, do a test work, do outsourced accounting. We've got outsourced CFO services, outsourced controller services. We do CFO coaching. So let's say you've got somebody, a strong controller or CFO in place. Our team can come in and do coaching and make them a more effective CFO. And so that's in the accounting and M&A side. We've got a separate entity that does investment banking. We do M&A advisories. We can take companies to market. We can help from a due diligence perspective if you're buying companies. That's all on the tax and accounting side. And then we have this whole other third bucket, which is more of our consulting services. That's not just the things that Laurie Harbour and her team does through operational consulting and benchmarking and strategic assessments, but also technology consulting. We do cyber. We help companies choose the right ERP system or the right CRM system. So we call them software selection services. Will come in and help identify maybe the universe of potentials that would be good for you. Whittle that down to maybe 12 and whittle that down to 5, and then do some demos and help you decide what's best. If you happen to choose Business Central or NetSuite, we implement those. If you happen to choose Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics from a CRM perspective, we implement those. And so we can be a real resource and look at things from a digital transformation, not just in your back office in accounting and the front office of CRM, but your operations. Are you doing production monitoring? Are you doing process monitoring? Are you taking that information, tying it back to your ERP system, and creates a dashboard that shows my margin by part, by tool, by customer? Those are the types of really cool things that frankly enticed me to join WIPFLI 4 years ago when our firm merged into WIPFLI. It's all those consulting services that frankly my firm Miller Prost, we didn't have a lot of that. And some really, really smart people that all know manufacturing.
So listen, there's a little bit of something there for everybody, and a great team behind it. So, Mike, thank you for spending a little over an hour with me today. I appreciate you. I'm definitely going to have some questions for you offline, and hopefully we can set something up. I'd love to have you come out and see what we got going on as well, and really pick your brain on Alliance as a whole, not just for the audience as a collective.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to help. And for you Chicagoland area listeners, no offense on the Bears and Packers deal, but go Pack go.
We all have our opinions, and sometimes they're wrong. You're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
I love it, Tony.
In the past, I agree. The Bears had no chance, but I think this year, I think I'm not putting all my hope in them. That goes in Jesus. But other than that, we'll do what we can. We always.
Hey, and if I'm wrong, I get to buy you dinner.
What's that?
And if I'm wrong, I get to buy you dinner.
Either way, we get to hang out. I get to hang out with my friend. Hey, but before we go, we end every show with a prayer. Do you have any prayer requests?
No, you can go ahead and lead us.
All right.
Otherwise, I can do a blessing.
You want to do a blessing? That would be great.
May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sunshine warm upon your face and the rain fall softly upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.
In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, Mikey, thank you for some time today. I appreciate you. Let me know how I can help you. I'll be happy to do whatever I can.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Buddy.
All right.
That was Mike Devereux from WIPFLI. Really a quality stand-up guy. I love hanging out with that guy. He's just, he's a lot of fun. And as an accountant, and somebody who loves taxes, he's a lot of fun. That's crazy to say, but he is. And if you're looking for somebody that is really, really trustworthy, he's your guy. I hope today was valuable to you. I found it incredibly valuable. There's a lot of stuff that I'm going to take and try and apply to our business at Alliance. And I hope it answered some questions. There are a lot of questions about what's going on and how it's beneficial to business and how it's beneficial to everybody in the U.S. And I hope Mike was able to shine some light on that. And this conversation was beneficial to you. And if it was, please share it. It's on LinkedIn. It's on YouTube. Please, please, please share it with whoever you want to share it with. We want people to get the most bang for the buck and keep this industry rolling because we love it. We love the manufacturing space and especially the U.S. manufacturing space. So on behalf of myself and Mike and WIPFLI and Alliance, thank you for watching and listening. Take care and God bless.